I'm second in command! Megatron is our leader. He rewards loyalty and punishes those who oppose his will.
Okay, here's a look at Robot Toys RT-D01 Lord Venatagon. So here you could see what the front of the box looks like with a nice sketch of Scorponok in robot mode. And the back of the box, you get a sketch of Scorponok in his alt mode and some stuff in Chinese and the type of battery that you need. The side of the box, nothing, just some stickers. The other side has your warnings. And the top of the box, RT, Robot Toys D01 Lord Venatagon. And the bottom, same thing. So that is a look at the box. And now let's go over all of the accessories and the instructions that you get. So here you could see the instructions by Robot Toys is just in a big open up sheet. So let's zoom out a little bit so we can see all of this. And let me just tell you that the transformation on this is a little tricky, but it's easy to figure out. But the most important part is making sure you get the Scorponok legs all folded up exactly like that. So let's look at the instructions. Nice detailed drawings that are numbered. And then here we have all of the accessories. So let's go over them. So first, they did give you replacement claws. Let's get the box out of the way so we can get a better view. And I already transformed it into his alt mode. But here you could see the difference between the two. One's bigger claws, and I don't know if that was just because it was a complaint and maybe people wanted the bigger claws, or if there's some reason why he has shorter claws. But you know, it does look like he does have bigger claws. So to swap it out, you have to untab it. It is on a ball joint, so grab close to it and you just simply pop it off. And I want to point out the plastic quality is really good, so I like that. It makes this much easier to pop out with no concerns about breakage. So here you just simply tab that in, you give it a good snap, and you hear that nice pop. And here you could see the difference between the claws. So obviously the bigger one definitely looks much better in my opinion. So we'll take the other one off, and then this one we'll just attach the same way. You just simply apply a little force to tab that in. And then we do get this parts forming gap filler piece, and I think this is actually intended for the alt mode, because here you could see the alt mode, the shape of each one of these parts of the tail, and then right here you could see it gets cut off. So here I think they did this so that you can fill this gap. It's a gap filler. You don't really, no one looks at the bottom, but now you could see the difference. It does fill in that shape, so I believe that's what this is for. And the tail can still articulate up, doesn't need to go down, but in robot mode you could see this is kind of an issue, so I'll point that out in robot mode. But you do get this parts forming gap filling adapter piece for the bottom part of the tail. And then the other accessories that we get here are the two missiles, which are cool. Look at, first of all, they're nicely sculpted, and it does have that nice transparent red, missing the Terracon symbol, but still really nice. And you could see that this just simply pegs in and holds in there really well, and you can do it on both sides. So this is kind of cool. So you can have them firing missiles. And then we do get the Cyber Bee, And there's actually two different versions. There's one where he shot this at Optimus. It kind of looks like this. And then the Cyber Bee appeared again. It kind of looked more like a bee with the tail having like yellow, orange or yellow. Yeah, kind of like a bee color. But anyways, this is the one that hits Optimus. And there is a light up feature. This one is the magnet. And first, let me just point this out. Look at the detail. They actually designed this to be like the golden disc. So that's really, really cool. The only thing, it would have been nice if they would have used like maybe a yellow orange transparent plastic, so it kind of matched the golden disc. But anyways, I actually took the time to get some batteries. And let me tell you, these are the batteries that you need. You need the SR416SW. So these are the batteries that you need, and you actually need 2 of them. And I'm just pointing out all the things you need to know. To put it in, you need to just take the bottom out, and it's easier if you just kind of come to the top and push the red a little bit to kind of push the bottom out a little bit open. And here you want to also be very careful when you're lifting it up. And here you could see this is the battery piece, and they don't show you how to put the batteries like the top or the bottom, and you could see where the positive and negative is. This is the correct way the battery is supposed to go in, and it doesn't really hold in place very well, so you just kind of have to make sure you put this in this little cavity there in a certain way, so you can see it fits in there. It doesn't really fit in very securely, it just falls into that little cavity. You just have to be very careful with it, but once you do, you close it up. Then now you have a functioning Cyber Bee that with the magnet, and here you just simply tab it and that lights up. That's really cool. And then you could turn it off. So that is kind of a cool feature. It's unfortunate you have to get the batteries, and you have to know how to properly put it in because their installation is not on the instructions. But anyways, here's a look at the Cyber Bee. And then last is the head, and I'll go over this again in robot mode, but here this is an alternative head head, so nicely sculpted, nicely painted. So that is a look at all the accessories and the instructions, and now let's take a closer look at the figure. So first, you could see this is a nicely sculpted head, and you know, the texture is also really done well with the, you know, Beast Wars texture, nicely painted, nicely sculpted, nicely proportioned, good quality plastic. This is done pretty well. I'd say this is definitely masterpiece quality. But back to the head, they did give you some cool articulations, the eyebrows, so you can make him have some expressions like looking up, or you can point him so that he's maybe kind of sad. So that's kind of cool. And then he does have his cheeks that can open out, so you can make it kind of look like he's talking. So that's kind of cool articulation. Nicely sculpted, nicely painted, cool little details for the articulation. And then his claws, I'm gonna, you know, probably just go through this really quick because I'll go over it again in robot mode. But he does have some nice soft ratchets for the shoulders to go forward and back, and it's a little hard to manipulate because you could see he has that purple shoulder pad, so you kind of have to move these two together. And then you can hear that they do go out to the side on a nice clickety ratchet. There is a friction bicep swivel here, and he does have a double jointed elbow, so that's cool, and one of them is ratcheted, so you could see the teeth there. And then the claws do open, and it does rotate side to side, so good amount of articulation for the claws. And then these scorpion legs, first let me just tell you, there's nothing wrong with this, but the issue here, and with any other figures with a bunch of legs like Black Arachnia, it's really hard and frustrating and very annoying to work with, because you're trying to work with all these legs, four here, but here you could see the legs, you could see all the hinges, so there is good amount of articulation. And some of them you can go out to the side. Up here, these are on the ball joints, and the plastic quality is good, so good amount of articulation there. And the tail, you could see it does have the articulation. It can go up, can go down. Each one of these can rotate, so you can have the tail coming out to the side, so that's really cool. Look at the detail here. This is done really well. You can see you're not hurting yourself on these spikes because they blunted the tip, so that's done really smart. They did a nice job sculpting that. So yeah, in terms of the Scorpion alt mode, there's a lot of cool articulation with this figure. So now let's do some comparisons. Okay, for the first comparison, let's bring out the original Beast Wars figure. So let's do this. Let's come up and look down a little bit so we can get a better view. And here you could see the difference between the two. First of all, this is this black color that you hear me talk about very often, how much I really hate how they use the black. But the original Scorponok figure was black. And this is a mainline retail figure, so obviously this one is not done as well as this in terms of, you know, all the detail and articulation. But because this is targeted for the kids, it does have all these cool little gimmicks, like here, this spring where you can kind of have him slashing his stinger. And then they also gave you additional accessories here. This one, I don't really want to do this, but you can open this up and it will fire the missiles. And so that's cool. Those are some old gimmicks that you used to get back in the day. You know, they get shooting missiles with springs in there. And here, this one also came with the Cyber Bee. And this one, you kind of push that out, and then this will, you know, this is the automorph thing. It opens up. So here you can have kind of like that bee from that episode with the yellow on it. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, with the original figure, it did come with all these extra gimmicks that were actually cool, that actually made the figures cost a little bit more, with all the springs and missiles and yeah, all that good stuff that you get here. So I'm just putting this back so you can see what this is like. But yeah, there is a look at the original G1, but Walmart did come out with a reissue, and here you could see just real quick the difference between the two. This one is has more of the tune accurate colors, so that's why I got it. And now this one I'm gonna have to get rid of now that I have this one. So here you could see the difference between the two. Same thing, just different colors. And yeah, you could see the difference. This has that Beast Wars texture. This one, they kind of sculpted in some nice texture. But yeah, there's a difference with the original and the reissue. And then there is the current mainline retail this is the Kingdom version. And yeah, I think I'll just keep things very simple. You could just see the differences between the two. And main thing to point out, this is a collectible from a third-party masterpiece quality, and this is a toy. So that should explain a lot of the differences that you see between the two. And I'll just share some things about this. You know, this figure is not designed very well. I'll just say that. I mean, there's so many things that are, you have to be very careful with these claws because they're going to easily pop off because they were too cheap to put a pin in there to prevent them from coming out. The engineering on this, I don't think is done very well. But yeah, in short, I'm just saying this is not one of the better mainline retail figures. But this does come with the Cyber Bee. And it does come with some missiles that you have to be very careful when opening up these claws to take them out, because otherwise these claws are going to come popping off and flying all over the place. And I'll point out a difference here too. Look at the difference in the tail. Look, this tail is very tune accurate. This one's not. And here's a perfect example of your target audience. These are collectibles. These are toy. So they're obviously going to be made to, you know, be simple like this. So just trying to point out things in terms of product design. So there's a look at Kingdom. And then people like to call these Legends, but yeah, this one's by Transform Element, and this is I guess a Legend scale. But I actually consider these mini masterpiece, because when you look at, you know, all the amount of articulation, how nicely sculpted and painted it is. This has die cast. How else do you describe the quality of this figure? I would not describe the quality of this as a Legends. I would describe this as a mini masterpiece, because it's almost equivalent to this. And this doesn't have die cast, but this does. But anyways, I'm just rambling, sharing some random things. But here you could see the difference between the two. And I think Robot Toys made a good choice in making a masterpiece, not a Legends, because we already have a Legends by Transform Element, and this is actually done really well. You know, it does have some missiles in here, and he also does come with a Cyber Bee. But yeah, I think this could have been made a little bit better. But yeah, just pointing that out. So there's some comparisons, and I'm not going to bring out some of the other Beast Wars figures because I don't want to transform them into their alt mode just to, you know, show you. But I'll show you that in the comparisons in robot mode. So with that, let's go ahead and transform Scorponok to his robot mode and take a look at that.
Scorponok! Terrorize!
Okay, to transform Scorponok to his robot mode, first, for me, I want to take off this parts forming piece because I want the tail to be able to fold down like that. After we got that done, then we want to push up on the tail by untabbing it. There's a little tab here that goes into the slot right there, and then this is on a double hinge, so you want to use it to bring that down and back out of the way. And then here, might as well just do it now. Just fold up these legs so you could see the way I'm folding them. I'm folding them up on both sides, and that's how you get the back legs done. And then you could see the hinge here, so they are going to fold in. And here I'm just going to point out things. These legs, once you get them folded up, they're supposed to go in between here, kind of like a sandwich. So the top, the bottom is supposed to go, these are supposed to go in the middle. But anyways, this is how you just fold the top part. And then after we got that, then we can now come to the bottom. Let's move the tail out of the way. And we want to untab the feet from the head. So you're basically just pulling the feet down. And I'll show you where that tabs in. You could see those two gold tabs up there. They do go into the two slots underneath the head. So you just untab it by pulling it down. And then we do need to split these legs apart a little bit, like so, at the A stance, so that now we can rotate these legs down on both sides. And then we can now bring the camera up a little bit more. And then we got the legs out. And now we could just go ahead and do the legs since we're already here. So here you want to lift up his cheek here and then fold in that little, I don't know what you call that, that little claw thing. And then you want to flip down his heel and then rotate down his leg. And then this is going to rotate around 180, but you want to make sure you have the clearance. So once you do, then you could straighten that up. And then here, this gold piece, you want to push this out. And this part's a little hard to get to, but you need to get a good grip here to be able to lift this piece up. And as I say that, I'm already having the difficulty getting this piece up. And yeah, maybe they could have toleranced this, which it was a little easier to get this out. So basically you have to work hard to get this piece out. Once you got that, then you can obviously bring it up and it's going to tab in. And then this piece, his calf, it is on a double hinge, so you rotate that up and in, and then you're going to rotate it forward. This is his back, so rotate it forward. And then you can go ahead and do the same again on this side. Okay, so the same thing on this side. So first lift up this calf piece, fold in that red piece, and then you want to bring down his heel, bring down his foot, and then you want to rotate this around 180 like so. And then this gold piece, you want to push that in. And then here we go again. You want to be able to lift this piece out. Once you get it out, then you can lift this up and tab that in. And then the calf piece, you want to bring it up, tab that in, and then you can straighten out his legs. Okay, after you got the other side done, then you could bring down this piece here. And now we want to come back up to the top, and there's this shell up here. You need to apply some force to untab it. So you're basically trying to lift this up. And let me just show you. There's the tab right there, and it goes into that slot. And it's not toleranced really well. It's really tight, so it's kind of hard to get that out. But once you get that out, then you can lift it up. And then here now you want to rotate his chest around 180. So now the chest is facing the front. And then here the scorpion head, you could see it's on a ball joint. So, and it does tab in here. It doesn't tab in very well, so just kind of untab it a little bit. Rotate that, fold in these mandibles. And I'm just pointing out it's really hard getting it out when you're transforming it to the alt mode. And then you want to bring out his head, and then you want to bring his scorpion head in like so. And I didn't tell you, but you want to bring these pieces out, and then you could fold in the head. So you're bringing out the sides of his waist right there. Once you got that done, then we can get these arms in. Now this one, there's two sides, there's two of them on both sides, so the top and the bottom. So basically this, let's see if this is folded up correctly here. I think, let's see, I know it's supposed to, no, sometimes, unless I got this messed up somehow. Let's see, yeah, it goes in, so you're folding them in this way, yeah, like this. So here you're just folding them in like so, and don't want to get confused here, this part, just fold this in like so, and then we can rotate this in and up. So let me see if I do it this way. So you're getting it like this, so you're trying to get that shape, and then we can rotate both of these in. This waist piece kind of gets in the way. Rotate the other side in and make sure it gets flat. And what I was telling you, that sandwich, so the bottom, you just make sure those are tucked in, and then this top piece is like the meat for the sandwich. So now you can come back here and you have to just use the hinges to bring this up, and this is going to tuck in between these two. And then once you get it in, you push it in all the way, and then you see now that's in. And then, man, this piece, his waist just keeps going in and out, so make sure those are out, and then you can now help guide this up, and you could see there's a tab goes into this slot right there on both sides. So line those up, tab it in. And tolerance here, these are not really tight. These should have been tighter because it tends to come out very easily. Once you do, then you just close this. There's no tab here, so that's a little unfortunate, but you just bring those down. And then these full scorpion legs, you can just fold them to wrap around his chest. And then back here to his legs. So now we can bring down these two pieces, which are going to form his waist, and then bring it up all the way. And then we want to close them. So now we're forming his torso or his waist. And then you want to rotate it around 180 so it's facing forward. And then last thing you can see is we need to bring down his arms. So now we can come back this way. And again, I was telling you, it's kind of hard to articulate the shoulders, so you need to grab both the purple and the gray shoulder parts together, because if you do it this way, it's kind of gonna get messed up. So you need to grab both together and then bring it down. And then now you could just articulate this however you think is best. And then we have Scorponok without that piece. Now his tail can go all the way down in his robot mode. Okay, now that we have Scorponok back in robot mode, now we could take a closer look at all the details. So let's come up and first start off with the head. So here you could see the head, and this one, what comes installed, you get the articulation with the mouth, so his mouth can open, and you could see it does have some sculpted teeth in there, so that's cool. And then what you can do is lift up the head, and you could see that pin is so that you can bring down his visors, and then you could rotate it around 180 so that you have the transparent red, and then you can push that back up, and then you have the red eyes. And there were a couple of times where it looked like he had red eyes, but for the most part, Scorponok always, his eyes or visors were always kind of yellowish orange gold color. So yeah, I think this is more tune accurate this way. And then I said I'd show you the alternate head. So here you could see the alternate head. So one, you know, he's kind of has that stoic look, and this one he kind of has that grimming face with his mouth pointing down. And this one, unfortunately, you don't have the articulation with the mouth. So if you have to pick and choose, this one you can have articulation with the mouth, which I think is cool. This one you don't, but this one you can also have that same feature where you can lift the head up and then bring down that visor, rotate it around. And this one, interestingly, it's not the transparent red, but they actually painted it red. So that's something different. So it just depends which one that you like. I actually like this one because it does have that articulation with the jaw. And unfortunately, they didn't give you the light gimmick here, but they did with their Tigatron, which I should be getting maybe in tomorrow or a couple of days. Yeah, because that would have been nice to be able to light up this head, just like you light up the bee. And it uses the same batteries too. So yeah, that would have been cool if you could have lit that up. But anyways, as far as this goes, I said I would show this to you. So let's bring out the official Optimus Primal. And then there was that scene in the episode where, you know, he opened this up and then he fired the cyber bee, and then you know, kind of launched onto Optimus. And you could see there's a tab and the slot. You just line that up, tab it in, and now he's you can kind of replicate that scene where he got Optimus. So that's kind of cool. Nice little light feature there if you want to use it. And yeah, so that's a cool little feature here. And then as far as the figure goes, in terms of, you know, all the articulations, pretty much the same that other people already mentioned. It is on a ball joint, so it can go up, it can go down, it can go side to side, all around. And I already mentioned the shoulders. You know, it does rotate on 2 joints, but you have to work them both together by grabbing both at the same time to avoid running into some problems. But you could hear it does have some nice soft clickety ratchets, and then going out to the side also has some ratchets. And then he does have a bicep swivel. Doesn't really tab in to lock in place, but you do get some, not biceps or butterfly joints. And then he does have a double jointed elbow. One's friction, and then the other, you could see the teeth is ratcheted, so you can get a full range of articulation there. And then you spread his arms out, and then you could see he does have waist rotation, and he does have an ab crunch. And then his legs, it does have nice soft ratchets going forward and back, and then it also has ratchets going out to the side. So that's really cool. And then you get thigh rotation, and then you do get a double jointed knee bend that are both on ratchets. So man, there's a lot of ratcheted joints on this. This is really nice. And then you do get ankle rocker, and the toe tilt can go up and down. So this has full range of articulation. So I think this is done really well. So now let's do some comparisons, and let's start with the other versions of the Scorponok figures. Okay, for comparisons, let's bring out the original Beast Wars. So here you could see what these two look like. This one's a little bit smaller, and again, the black really bothers me. So let's bring out the reissue Walmart exclusive. And here you could see this one does have that more tune accurate colors. And here you could see the difference. Let's get him out because I'm going to have to give him away. But yeah, here you could see the differences between these two. And this is a Hasbro mainline retail figure back in the day. So yeah, here's a look at that. And then there was the Kingdom version. And man, I'm trying to be nice by not sharing my thoughts. This is just not designed very well. And look at, I have to have his tail out here just to have him standing. This doesn't go in because this causes this to open up. But anyways, this just is not designed very well. I'll just say it that way. But here's a look at the Kingdom version. And again, all the details here. This is what makes this a masterpiece. And then last, let's bring out the transform element. If I can stop hitting the camera. Here you could see what these two look like. Yeah, this is really a nice figure. This is a mini masterpiece. It's not a Legends. Yeah, because here you could see this does have some die cast here. It's nicely sculpted, nicely proportioned. It does have a good amount of paint on here. It doesn't have that nice Beast Wars texture, but you know, that's considering how small this is. So yeah, here's a look at these two. I actually like these two. It's just one's a masterpiece scale, one's a legend scale. But both of these figures are actually really nice. So there's some comparisons. And now just for one more comparison, let's bring out some of the Predacons. And for the first comparison, let's bring out the official Takara Tomy Beast Wars Megatron. And here you could see what these two scale like. He's actually really big. And actually at first I thought Scorponok, the Kingdom version, was too small. But you know, I had to look at the cartoon to see that this actually scales very accurately. I didn't realize Scorponok's a really small figure. And for another comparison, here he is next to the official Takara Tomy Beast Wars Black Arachnia. And here you could see what these two, how these two look and scale next to each other. And I think that scales pretty well. So here you could see what they look like. They both have that nice Beast Wars texture. And then the only other Terracon masterpiece that we got, I think it was Metagate, and it was their version of a masterpiece scaled pterosaur. And here, I'm not sure if the scale is right. I'm not sure if pterosaur was really this big. I think he is supposed to be a little bit taller, maybe just not this tall. But either way, I think it still looks good. And the colors all together look really nice too. So here's a look at all the Terracons we have so far. Now we're just missing Tarantulas and Waspinator, and then that will complete the season 1 for the Beast Wars for the Terracons. So I'm just gonna end my review here now and just give you my final thoughts on this figure. And I'll just tell you that overall, I think this is a really well-made figure. It's nicely designed. So first of all, nicely sculpted, nicely proportioned, nicely painted, does have that nice texture, good quality plastic, no die cast, but it does have a full range of articulation with ratcheted joints all over the place. So I think that's done really well. And in terms of the engineering, I think it's designed really well. It's just they didn't execute the tolerance very well. because some areas they are, you know, very loosey-goosey. Some other areas, trying to tab them in, they're really tight. So there's a little inconsistency there, so you just have to be aware of it and just work around it. But they also gave you all these other cool accessories, which are always nice. And I'm not really a fan of all these lights and stuff, but I think this, you know, it's a nice little feature to have. You know, you could, you know, take some nice pictures with the light, which I think is really cool. It would have just been nice if they could have put some lights on his visors, like they did with the their Tigatron, which I should be getting maybe tomorrow. And that's actually a smaller head too, so yeah, that just kind of would have made sense. But anyways, altogether, I think this figure is definitely worthy of being a official masterpiece quality figure. It's done really well. So with that, I'll just give you a rating of this figure from my point of view. I'm gonna give this figure a rating of 8.5 out of 10. I think this is a really nice figure, all things considered. So that's it. That's my final thoughts and review for the Robot Toys masterpiece version of Scorponok.
I have a special cyber beat just for you, Optimus Primal. Enjoy!